Welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. Today is going to be a news roundup video, but obviously not in our usual circumstances. Usually we're talking about more upbeat things, but today I'm going to be basically taking you through the news surrounding Valverde's future. A lot of fallout, of course, from that Liverpool game, and in general, we are just going to be discussing the current situation at Barcelona, just to keep you guys updated, just to keep you guys in the loop. Because for me, there's no doubt about it, right now we face big decisions on the pitch, off the pitch, at boardroom level. We have to be very critical of our work. We have to understand the situation, and most importantly, we have to see some action. It's all good and well talking about it. It's all good and well now. The players, of course, will be feeling sorry for themselves. They will be feeling hurt by this, but the most important thing now is to see that action, to see things put in place to ensure this doesn't happen again and we see improvement. That's what this video is about today, guys. I hope you're feeling better. I hope that somewhere in you, the ability there to just move on. Not completely, of course. I don't think we'll ever, to be honest, fully forget this, but obviously life does go on. Today's video, just keeping you up to date, just getting back into it now. Coming up, it's the news. So of course we have to start with the number one subject right now, not only in terms of ourselves, the fans, but also I think in terms of the players and the management, and that is the future of Ernesto Valverde. Now Sport came out with an exclusive story. They said, look, we've got big information, and they basically went on to say that the dressing room of Barcelona, after the game of course against Liverpool, in the dressing room then, after the game, they then said that it was being discussed already about Valverde's future. The players themselves were unsure of whether he should remain. They were starting to blame him for the decisions, for the loss, and overall right now the feeling in the dressing room has definitely changed. Before the game, a lot of the players are coming out, they're in support of Valverde, they're enjoying time under him, and I actually believe the majority of these players still won't speak out about Valverde, and still they'll kind of be behind him. I said this on Twitter, and I basically believe a large group of those players are very happy with Valverde simply because he makes them comfortable. He allows them to be very comfortable in their current position, in the current team, because many of that team are virtually untouchable. They won't be dropped, they won't be rotated, they won't be taken out the team, they won't be criticised by Valverde. He allows them to be very comfortable. He doesn't really like to make these big, brash decisions, and ultimately, these are players here who are happy just coasting along, being nice and comfortable in their role, and that's why I believe we haven't really seen a big revolt. A lot of these players are more than happy with this sort of coasting, with this sort of existing. We are not, though, and for that reason, we demand action. MD also came out with an interesting story, once again focusing on the players' outlook in all of this. They basically say the key players in the dressing room again against Valverde believe that they was going to go with a different setup. They actually believed going into the game that he wasn't going to start with Felipe Coutinho. MD say that basically heavyweights in the dressing room believe that Coutinho wasn't going to play and it was going to be a different kind of structure against Liverpool, and because it was very different to how they thought it was going to be, again, big questions occurred after the defeat happened, and once again players were unhappy with the coach in this situation. And there's one thing that I'll say about all this, and particularly these kind of reports. Number one, I think it's very important here that yes, Ernesto Valverde is the first man to go. I fully believe in order to move forward, in order to improve, like I said yesterday, guys, in my video, Ernesto Valverde for me has to go. He has to resign, he has to be sacked. It's not all his fault, but in order to make the changes that we have to do, in order to renew this squad, to refresh it, to have a different outlook, we need to get rid of the manager, and then, and only then, can we start on the rest of the team. What I also believe is, though, these players here now may turn on Valverde simply to take that blame away from themselves. And what we can't forget here is, yes, Valverde holds, I think, most of the responsibility. He's the reason in the big collapses in the last 2 years that we've had these collapses, and that's because the mentality of this club right now is in dire straits. But I also believe the players themselves have to take responsibility. It's no good here, every one of those players, just shifting it all on Valverde. That is not going to help the team improve. That is not taking responsibility for your actions. At the end of the day, the players too were out on that field. They could have made a difference. They could have done things differently. And that fourth goal, like I keep on saying, there's no excuse for that. Coach or not, the players were also not acted against Liverpool. And for that reason, there has to be some responsibility. There has to be some holding your hands up. Every single player and every single person connected with Barcelona right now, they've got to say to themselves, we can do better. But, like I say, guys, I do remain, Valverde is the first point of action. That is what we have to do first. Then we can move on to the rest. Then we can move on to really improving the club as a whole once you've gotten rid of the manager. Because whatever player you bring in, whatever players you have, whatever system you play, it is all impacted by the coach who is there. So we can't go and bring new players in. We can't go and sell players and then suddenly everything will be fixed. Because those players coming in are still going to be coached by Valverde. They're still going to be in a system that doesn't suit Barcelona. So what you have to do is you take out the coach, you bring somebody in much more suited to Barcelona, Barcelona. But I want to say here, there was a big story that came out this morning, again from Sport, that basically said there is a special exit clause in Ernesto Valverde's contract that can either be activated by the club itself, the board of directors of course, or Ernesto Valverde himself. They basically say that although Valverde has signed a new contract, of course, I don't know why we offered him to him so soon, but we did. He's got a contract now until 2020, but there is that clause which apparently, if the club wants to activate it, they can get rid of Valverde and they won't have to pay compensation for ending his contract early. Very, very interesting indeed. MD then go on to say, in a different report, the board are basically now waiting. They're playing a waiting game, they're assessing their options, and they're actually hoping deep down that they don't have to do the dirty work. They're hoping that Ernesto Valverde is going to go ahead and he's going to resign. That's what they're hoping right now. And you actually have to go back to a situation back in 2008 when Ernesto Valverde, of all places, was actually coach of Espanyol. And apparently, back in 2008, Valverde completely lost the dressing room of Espanyol. The players turned against him. And when that happened, he then resigned. Very, very interesting indeed. And like I say, the board, being the cowards they are, and I do believe that the board don't really want to do it themselves. And for that reason, they're waiting and waiting, hoping that Valverde takes that decision for them. What I will say on that, though, is a big report also comes out from Cope, and it basically says Valverde doesn't intend on resigning. Valverde here, very, very stubborn, as we know, to be honest. You look at Valverde as a person, he is somebody who rigidly sticks to his tactics, he rigidly sticks to his team, he's not a man who likes to change, he's not a man who believes really in change, and for that reason, I would sort of go along with that article. I don't believe right here and now that Valverde wants to resign. Now, if we go to the Camp Nou on Sunday against Getafe, the final home game of the season, maybe if we got beaten in the Copa del Rey final, maybe if some players started coming out to the media and just speaking about some discontent towards the coach, maybe then Valverde would have second thoughts. But as of right now, with the players in his pocket, with the fans at the Camp Nou at least, kind of behind him, we'll have to wait and see how they react. I don't believe he's going to resign because he is a very stubborn person who, to be honest, has always favoured the league. He's always believed the most important thing at Barcelona since he's come in. He's always prioritised the league. You think back to the Roma game, he didn't rotate because he wanted that unbeaten record in La Liga, and I think he believes if he's winning the title, he's doing enough. What we know is that is not enough, and certainly the way we're playing is nowhere near enough. And of course, when we're talking about Ernesto Valverde being removed from his position, and that's something I think, like I say, will be a full benefit to the club, of course you guys are going to be wondering, who are we going to bring in? And I think the really important thing right now is, of course, in the back of our mind, we've got targets, we've got coaches, of course, who we sort of believe have a similar style to what Barcelona represents, and that's the most important thing for me. It doesn't have to be a massively big name, it doesn't have to be somebody who's won trophy after trophy, they don't necessarily have to be a serial winner. I think the most important thing, personally my own preference right now, is getting Barcelona back to the Barcelona way, because at the end of the day, yes, of course, we love Barcelona because they're successful, we love the Champions League wins, we love the La Liga wins, we love the fact that we win trophies and that we are a successful team, but the most important thing from all of this is, guys, we fell in love with Barcelona watching them. We fell in love with Barcelona because at the time, and certainly going forward, it's a unique brand of football. It's something that really does bring out all of those values, all of that charisma, all about that club. It is Mesquean club. That's why we fell in love with Barcelona. That's why we love this club, because it was something different. It represented something different. And the most important thing right now in getting rid of Valverde, making that next step, I don't know if the board are the right people to do it. I really, really don't. I still have massive doubts, of course, over the likes of Pep Segura, who doesn't seem at all to follow the Barcelona way, the Barcelona model. But for me, the most important thing, get rid of Valverde, get him out. Also, appreciate the league titles. We will do that. People are saying, don't forget that Valverde has won 2 league titles. We won't forget that. We genuinely won't forget that. And we'll say, look, Valverde, you were very consistent in the league. You got us results. You leave the Camp now having won 2 big league titles, and we thank you for that. But now is the time to go. You've taken this team as far as you can. That has been evident in these 2 embarrassments, and now we move on to something different and back to our roots. Get Barcelona football, get the Barcelona way of playing back to this club, because I can guarantee it, that and that alone will bring out the best in the players who are already here. The players who are here, who have grown up here through La Masia, coming into the first team, have won many things with this team. Somebody like Sergio Busquets. Yes, you can say Busquets is finished. Yes, you can say that he's getting on, and I agree. He is no longer at the peak of his powers. That is evident. But at the same time, if you put him back in a Barcelona competent system with that midfield as it should be at Barcelona, I guarantee you, I 100% guarantee you that that he doesn't look as bad, that he doesn't look as though he's out of place. He would never look out of place in that kind of team like he did at Anfield the other night. At Anfield the other night, it was a disaster, and many of those players are still playing in roles, playing in the style that does not suit them. Valverde may be a very good coach. He's certainly somebody who's very calm, very collected. He can be consistent. You've seen that in the league titles, but he's not the Barcelona coach for me. And the very fact of the matter is, once he goes out the door, we get this club back. We get it back where we want it. And then we go from there. We bring in players to suit that, all around one style, all pulling in one direction, so that then we can be a team. We can be like Liverpool. They were a club there, united. Club, coach, fans, players, every single one of those, all going in the same direction, all with the same philosophy. They knew what they were doing. Every single player, down to a T, understood what Klopp was going to do, what he wanted to bring to the team. We have to have that again with our own beliefs, with our own philosophy, under a coach who understands and wants to play the Barcelona way. And so please let me know your thoughts, guys. I really want to know what you think about the Valverde situation, about potential coaches who could come in perhaps and take over the reins of Barcelona and bring our club back. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And also tomorrow we'll be coming up with another video which won't necessarily be about Valverde, but looking at the players who are going out, looking at the players who may be coming in. There are so many rumours going around right now, guys. There is so much backlash from this loss, of course, as you would expect, and I'm going to be doing my very, very best to keep you updated with everything that is going on. Thank you for those who are coming back, watching the videos, getting involved. I know that it's tough. I know that it's not a good time right now, but of course, talking about things, letting out those emotions, it can help everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for still supporting. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you soon with more videos. Things will get better. They have to, surely. But until then, guys, as always, Visca el Barça.